Dom here from Essential RC. Thanks for tuning in for another flight test, and this is an interesting one, slightly different than everything else I've done before because FMS always looking to push the boundaries of what they do. This is their latest RC aeroplane, a cute little DHC-2 Beaver, de Havilland DHC-2 Beaver, and does look really good. Very simple to put together, I have to say, and by itself I've no doubt it's going to fly very well. But what they have done is made this compatible with their latest FPV system. So you buy the airplane ready to fly with its transmitter or plug and play, so you can use your own receiver and transmitter, but you can also buy their new FPV system that comes with this camera that slots into the top there. Like so. Has its own little battery, plugs in, and will certainly give you enough range to fly within what you'd ordinarily take as visual line of sight, so maybe half a kilometre to a kilometre, which is certainly far enough for flying something like this. And this is the FPV Screen that comes with their new FPV system, and it has its own visor that folds out like that. Really easy to use. You can scan automatically for the frequency and the band that the analog FPV camera is on, and then you go fly FPV. Here's how I put this together. So let's start with the Beaver. Arrives in this nice box. Spec is on the back, 800mm wingspan. The motor and the speed controller already installed. You got 4 2-gram digital servos. You need at least a 4-channel receiver if you're going to put in your own receiver. Has a 6x5 2-blade prop and needs a 2-cell 7.4 volt 850 milliamp hour LiPo battery. Available in 2 schemes, red and yellow. I've got the yellow, and as I said before, you can get it in ready to fly, which includes everything that you need, less the 4 AA's to put in the radio transmitter or plug and play. Remove the foam carton from the box, and this is what you'll see. Take off that bit of foam in the middle that's held in place by tape and put the parts on the table, and you'll see there are basically 2 parts. You got the fuselage and the wing. That is it. So this is going to be very quick assembly. So look inside the fuselage and you will see the printed circuit board that's got the speed controller and the receiver on it. Look closer and you'll see where you're going to have to plug in the Y lead for the ailerons from the wing. So even closer and you'll see here that it's just up from the elevator. Those 3 pins, note the orientation of the elevator plug with the brown lead at the back and the yellow lead at the front, and then plug in the Y lead for the ailerons into that plug. Put the wing on top of the fuselage and then drop the provided bolt into the hole on top of the wing through into the fuselage and rotate it 90 degrees to lock the wing in place. And then you'll see the struts on either side of the wing, and you just need to slide those into the plastic fittings on the side of the fuselage. And the last stage of this very quick assembly is just to slot 2 aerials into their slots on either side of that main center FPV camera slot. And just to show you very quickly that this is the radio transmitter that you get with the ready to fly version of this FMS model, and you also get this charger and the required 2-cell 850 milliamp hour battery. And this is the new 5.8 gigahertz analog FPV system from FMS. Open the box and you'll see the instructions are on top. Put everything on the table and this is what you will see. First step, take the FPV camera and the housing. Take the back plate off the housing. You'll have to remove those 2 screws with a small crosshead screwdriver insert the camera into the housing. You'll have to remove the front cover to do that, and then screw the back plate back in place. Note that the housing comes with another mounting plate should you want to mount it to other aircraft, but you don't need it for the Beaver because that already has a mount in place on top of the wing, and you've also got a USB lead included to charge up the FPV camera battery. Back to the DHC-2 Beaver that we put together a minute ago, and locate the slot between the two aerials on top of the wing that you're going to slot the FPV camera into. Do that. Looks good from the front and the back, and you're just going to have to plug in the battery into the FPV camera when you are ready to fly, and it will start transmitting. Then we've got the FPV screen components here. On the far left, you've got the USB lead to charge the battery that is inside the FPV screen. Then we've got the aerial for the FPV screen itself, and then the mount for the FPV screen so that it can be held by the radio transmitter. Very first thing you need to do is to screw the aerial onto the FPV screen. So remove the little red cover and screw it in place. You must do this before switching on the screen. If you switch on the screen without the aerial attached, there's a chance you could damage the circuitry inside the FPV screen. Then you've got the holder for the FPV screen, and this is attached to where you would traditionally attach your neck strap. If you use a neck strap, I don't use a neck strap, so not a problem for me, but you will have to do without your neck strap if you're going to attach the FPV screen to the radio transmitter. So you just need to remove the bolt and nut from the bottom of the holder, and these are the components you're left with: two washers, a bolt and the nut. And then you go through these steps just to reattach it to that neck strap point. Open the visor on the screen and you will see there's a layer of protective film. Pull on the green tab to remove that. There's no point leaving it in place because it will just obscure the view slightly that you're going to get from the FPV camera, distort it to a certain extent. Then mount the FPV screen in the holder. You just pull the elasticated tab at the top to do that, and you may need to modify certain bolts on the holder so that it is angled at the right angle for you, so that when you're holding it you can see the FPV view while you're flying. So there we go. After you've done all that, you're ready to fly. Let's plug in the battery, plug in the FPV system, turn on the transmitter and the FPV screen. Let's go for a fly. Okay, so quick look at the radio transmitter that came as part of the Ready to Fly package. Left stick for rudder and throttle, right stick for aileron and elevator. You've got trim switches for all of those channels, and you've got a 3-position switch top right for your stabilization flight modes, and top left switch is for your GPS return to home. Turn on the transmitter by holding the 2 buttons down at the bottom. And then we need to plug in the battery in the Beaver itself. So take off the battery bay cover and plug in the JST lead. The battery is held quite snug in that little battery bay, and you just need to arrange the wires inside so that they allow you to close the cover. Now after you've switched that, this will switch on the receiver and the GPS module, and while you've done that, it is searching for a GPS lock. There is a light on the front of the Beaver that flashes when it is trying to acquire a GPS lock. It takes about 30 seconds. So you might be able to see that it is flashing there, and now it's gone a solid white. So it has found a GPS lock and we are ready to go flying. Now, an important point for me to make as I walk out to the flight line is that where I plugged in the battery in the Beaver and it got a GPS lock, it takes that as the home position. So if I use the GPS return to home button on the radio transmitter, it will return to where I was standing and where I plugged in that battery, which was in the pits area. Typically at a model flying club, you would not want to do that. So I would advise that you walk out to the middle of the flying field, to the middle of your runway when it's safe to do so, and plug the battery back in so it sets that position as the home location. And then when you use return to home button, it will take that as the home location, and should you let it, it will return to home and it will loiter. It will circle over and above that position rather than over the pits. Much safer thing to do. Okay, so taking off in stabilized mode, which means that the onboard stabilization system on the Beaver limits my roll and pitch angles, doesn't allow me to roll or pitch to inverted certainly. So this is great for beginners. Going to fly a couple of circuits like this and then switch to optimized mode, which is the bottom position of that 3-position switch. And that will allow me greater angles, allow me to throw around this Beaver a lot more. Okay, so I've just now switched to optimized mode. That bottom switch position on the top right switch can throw this around a lot more, do some aerobatics. So just to point out that the FPV image that you're seeing in the top right is being recorded by my own FPV goggles and not by the FMS FPV Screen. That does not have the capability to record onto an SD card. So I've shown here how it is fully aerobatic even though it is just on 2-cell LiPo power. You do have to watch out for stall. It will stall, so keep the speed up, but 2S power is certainly good enough for performing all the standard aerobatics, loops and rolls, whatever you want. Coming in for a touch and go. And coming in for landing. So there you go, that's my first flight with the new FMS 800mm DHC-2 Beaver with their new FPV system. Fantastic. Really a budget way to get into FPV flying. And the mount, there is a separate mount for the camera, so you could put it on anything else, any of you know, FMS's RC cars, planes, or anything else, or any other model that you might want to strap it onto. But the link for this is in the video description and the pinned comment. Separate links for the DHC-2 Beaver and their new FPV system. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.